Nick says that a woman like you should have just, after high school, focused on being a mother. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. You're 30.
Yeah.
You're accomplished. You went to college. You're gorgeous. You're smart. You're intelligent. You're going to make a great wife someday. Nick believes it should have been sooner rather than later, but you're on your own time frame. Why is Nick wrong that you're actually a happy, healthy, beautiful person and you're living your life that you want to live?
Yeah, well, first talk about just briefly, my grandmother never made it past 3rd grade. She came from Guatemala, and for her, the fact that she could never learn and even read or write to a substantial amount was really personal to her, because with education, that provided freedom. Education is something that can never be taken away from you.
This is your mother or your grandmother?
My grandmother.
Okay.
And
what about your mother?
For her, her, it was so important that her children were educated, because she knew that education equaled freedom. It meant that something could never take that away from you, man or woman. And so when my mom and my grandmother came from Guatemala to the United States, my mother worked 3 jobs to come here, learned English at night, to be educated, to be a woman of worth. And that really mattered. She ended up being a teacher and really being able to be somebody. And, I find that really offensive that you don't believe that women should have the education or the freedom, because there are a lot of women who would do anything to be able to read a book. And you laugh, but it's sad.
Women can't read? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that there are some women in some countries that can't read. And when
Nobody's
you undermine...
saying they shouldn't have literacy. But it's a question of, should they have secondary education? Should they pursue a degree? And when you say education is freedom, I went to school for 2 semesters before I dropped out. I went to school with a girl who borrowed her entire tuition for 4 years, getting an IR degree, $200,000 in debt for an IR degree, for a liberal arts degree. Is that freedom? Am I buying a lot of freedom?
But Nick, isn't that anecdotal? Because I know a ton of dudes in student loan debt as well. They're doing nothing with their life.
It's an example.
Yeah.
It's an example.
No, I know, but
the point
one
is,
good example.
But you agree, though.
There's millions of guys and girls with useless degrees.
Don't they have the freedom to make the mistake? I mean, I think that is part of the American way. They have the freedom to make the mistake.
Yeah, and nobody's saying nobody has the freedom to go to college or something like that. But the point is, on the statement specifically that education equals freedom, I don't necessarily buy that getting a college degree is the ticket that it used to be. So everyone needs to go to college to get freedom.
I
don't
agree
know
with
that.
that, but then why are you saying that women in particular shouldn't go to college and they should be... Look, no, let me explain. I think also, too, that women can have it all. And I think this construct of you have to choose this career, you have to choose to be going to college over having a family. I'd love to have a family one day. I'd love to be married someday. And I think you can have it all. And I don't think that you have to choose between this lifestyle of either or.
Nick, why do you say that women can't have it all? And then I'm going to come to you, Amy, and then I'm going to come to you, Nima, I promise.
You can't have it all because the clock's ticking. And, you're 30, and I don't mean it to get personal, but of course, women, there's an age after which they can't have kids. There's an age after which it's much more difficult for them to have kids. That's just biology.
I've been out of college for 10 years.
I let you finish. I know you want to rip my face off, but I let you finish. And so the point is that when women go to college full-time or they have a full-time job, they can't be a mother because a mother is a full-time job. So that means that if they are having kids, guess who's not around for 8 hours during the day? Where do they put the baby for 8 hours during the day? Do they just stuff them in a box somewhere? Got to send them to daycare. Somebody has to take care of the kids. Just because you're the one that's not doing it doesn't mean it's not a full-time job. So, no, you cannot have it all without making sacrifices. And the problem is, working women will have a kid. They'll prioritize their career. This is what happens in many cases. And who is the one who is forced to pay the price? Who for this sacrifice in time? It's the kid. It's the kid that doesn't have the mother for those 8 hours a day when their mom's at work. It's the kid who mom can't go to the game. Mom can't pick you up when you're sick from school. Mom can't do X, Y, and Z. So actually, we have a short life. We have to make decisions in time. Nobody can have everything of everything. Nobody can have it all. We have to make decisions, which means sacrifice. And the problem that is going on, if women want to work their whole life and never have kids, I don't think that's good for them. I don't think that's fulfilling. But worse still is you have women that are promiscuous, which is a mortal sin. They'll wind up having kids, often become a single mom. And even if they're not, the kids wind up in daycare. And the point is it's just a very selfish lifestyle. People should put their family first.
Amy, let me ask Amy, because Amy's been quiet, and Amy, I'll come to you, and then everyone, believe me, everyone's going to get tons of time to talk. I guarantee you. You're saying that in regards to women working, did you go to college, Amy?
Yeah, I have my associates in justice and legal. I dropped out. But I agree with you to some degree, but I don't think anyone can really have it all. It's only the top 1%, someone exceptional in any field to really have it all. So yes, you can, but will everybody? No, it's unlikely. So I understand both sides of the arguments. I think if a woman really wants to do it and she can make that happen, but you're absolutely correct. That is not going to come without sacrifice. And I don't think you can put 100% into both things. You can be all in on something, but like you can be all in on multiple things, but that means that one thing at a time, you have to be giving 100% of your focus to that thing. So that is going to be time away from your children. That is going to have some type of an impact on them. So I think that this is something to certainly keep in mind when we are trying to talk about the traditional values that we want to reinstill in society, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have to legislate it or anything like that, which you said. You never even said that in the first place.
Are you like, what are you doing to sort of reinforce? You're 28, smart, attractive. You guys are the same people. Smart, attractive, late 20s, early 30s, no man, no kids, tons of people in your DMs. Here's Nick, who's basically like,
yeah.
I mean, if you could sum up in one sentence your advice for them, what would it be?
Don't go to school, have kids. Stop having sex, have kids with your husband.
Okay. I mean, and you mentioned that being promiscuous is a mortal sin.
Yeah.
Is that sex before marriage?
Yeah.
So what happens then?
You go to hell.
So they're going to hell.
If they don't repent, yeah.
So all they have to do is do what?
They have to go to confession. Yeah,
okay.
Say, I'm sorry.
So do you firmly believe that, let's say these two girls who have had sex out of wedlock will go to hell?
Well, I mean, the Catholic position is we don't know who goes to heaven, but we do believe that adultery is a mortal sin. Premarital sex is a mortal sin, and mortal sins mean they're grave and with full consent.
Gotcha.
Breaking the 10 Commandments.
So what's your advice to young Amy over here?
My advice would be find a husband who's going to take care of you and love you and cherish you and have kids. And that's the most beautiful thing.
That's actually what I want. I got into a debate with Brendan Carter about this recently because I've been a person, like I've traveled, like I've moved across the world, made a lot of money, I've done the things, and one thing I can strongly attest to is it never made me truly happy or fulfilled. You get the dopamine rush, but then with goals, it's always on to the next thing. Dopamine is highly, highly addictive. And so people have this end in mind where they're like, when I get here, I'll be happy, but then there's always something else that comes up. For women, in this debate, we actually brought up that the chemical of oxytocin is a chemical that can only be induced. It necessitates the presence of another person. You need to be giving to another person. You need to be pouring into them, providing value to them. And I think the easiest way to do that for a woman is through a family. So my mindset has completely changed.
Are you ready to quit your job?
Yeah, well, my goal is to get married and have kids. I mean, I just got out of a relationship, so I know I need to heal from that. I don't want to bring any of that into my next relationship. But the next guy I'm with, I want that to be the person I'm with for the rest of my life. I want to have kids. I want a family. I want those traditional values. Really more than like anything, honestly.
So if you like that clip, click right here to watch another. Or if you want to watch the entire SOSCAST, click right here.